Hey, what's up guys? Today we continue in our series called True Colors. In this series, we're taking a look at Joseph's life and seeing how he showed his true colors. Today, we're saying, I will use my gifts for God. So, how about we take a sec to recap where we're at in this amazing story of Joseph's life. Joseph was his dad's favorite out of all of his sons. So much so that Joseph's dad even gave Joseph a fancy Technicolor jacket.
A coat.
Hey man.
My dad gave me this fancy Technicolor coat.
Honestly, it just looks like a robe to me.
Well, listen, man. If you're gonna tell my story, do it right. You know what? Never mind. How about I just fill us in on this story since it's about me anyways?
My bad. A little sensitive, eh? All right, go for it, Joseph. How about you catch us up to speed on everything real quick?
All right. So, I get this fancy coat from my dad because I'm the favorite. Then my brothers get jealous, they sell me into slavery. Then I'm in slavery, I get this really big responsibility, and then I'm thrown into prison for something I didn't even do. Then I get released from prison to interpret Pharaoh's dream, and basically I told him that the land will endure 7 good years of food, but then followed by 7 years with no food. So then I used my gifts for God, and because of all that, I was put second in command over all of Egypt.
Whew. This is where we pick up our story, right? So the Pharaoh was super impressed with how God was using you. So much so that he put you in charge of Egypt.
That's right. Well, he actually put me second in command, just under himself. I was only 30 years old when I was put in charge. I was no longer a slave.
It's also worth noting that at this point you received a brand new robe made out of fine linen. And he gave you a gold necklace and you had to ride on a chariot. Say what? Hashtag moving on up. Hashtag blessed. Am I right? Am I right?
Anyways, so since I was put in charge of the land of Egypt, I spent the first 7 years storing up all the extra food that the land produced. This was all in preparation for the coming food shortage.
It's incredible, man. In fact, the Bible even says in Genesis 41:49, Joseph stored up huge amounts of grain. There was as much of it as sand by the sea. There was so much grain it couldn't be measured. So Joseph stopped keeping records of it. And during this time, you also had some other really cool things take place. For example, you got a wife and had 2 kids.
Yep, God is pretty awesome. But you know what? Eventually, those 7 years of plenty came to an end. And when the famine started and the land of Egypt wasn't producing enough food, the people became really hungry. But because I was obedient and used my gifts, I was able to bring food out of the storage and feed those who were hungry. In fact, people from all over the surrounding lands came to Egypt because we had that much food stored up from the other years of growth.
Wow, such a perfect picture of God's love and blessings.
You said it, man. I think it's actually a perfect place to leave our story for now. I gotta run and check back on the people of Egypt.
Thanks, Joseph. We'll see you next time. Man, this story just keeps getting better and better. And Joseph said something that is so true, that because he used his gifts for God, he and the people of Egypt were blessed beyond measure. I think this verse might help us get a better idea of what we're looking at today. 1 Peter 4:10 says this, God's gifts of grace come in many forms. Each of you has received a gift in order to serve others. You should use it faithfully. Joseph used his gifts of planning, leadership, and service to turn Egypt away from what could have been the end of its people. He used his wisdom to lead the Pharaoh and Egypt's people towards discipline and assurance. Very cool, right? So, how can we use our gifts for God? Joseph always finds a way to show his true colors, and the same goes for you and me. We don't have to let the world tell us who we are because we are children of God. And when we believe what God says about us, our true colors will shine in this world. So again, today we are saying, I will use my gifts for God.